And I'd like to start with the first deputation on Clause 12, report of the extraordinary joint meeting of the Environmental Committee and Rickett and Wigram Community Board Noble Village Subdivision Vesting of Roads, and invite Justin Prain and Colin Stokes. And as they are coming forward, could I just remind people that deputations in respect of a report on the agenda for the meeting are allowed 10 minutes to make their presentation, and there are 3 deputations for this meeting. So could I invite Justin Prain and Colin Stokes to come forward? Or are they separate? They're separate? Oh, okay, sorry. I apologise. I was told that there were 3 deputations. So that looked like you were together. So if I could have Justin Prain, thank you. There are 4 deputations. I apologise, there are 4 deputations. It was my mistake. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councillors. My name is Justin Prain. I'm the Development Director for the Aldhurst Village Development and also for the Belfast Village Development. I want to take as little time as possible with my deputation. I'm conscious of the length of your order paper. This whole story has been a bit of a saga, as some of you will know, and has entailed some very significant delays for our development and costs in the millions. But what are the conclusions? I'll come to those in a moment, but the accusations that have been made against us and against the council are accusations around collusion, manipulation of professional inputs, issuing of invalid consents by council, unsafe roads, dangerous intersections, risk of life. Those are pretty serious assertions, none of which, it transpires after the lengthy study that the council has now undertaken, are true. The decisions of the council, all of them, have been validated. What hasn't been said on behalf of the officers is something that I want to say, and that is that their behaviour, certainly in their relationships with us, have been utterly professional. All of their dealings have been professional. In my view, they are totally competent in the exercise of their duties, and I simply wanted to state that from my point of view. That's all I have to say, Madam Mayor. Thank
you. Thank you. It's always gratifying to have someone so succinctly present, but also to commend staff for their performance. Has anyone got any questions? Please be no. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd now like to invite Colin Stokes.
Thank you very much, everybody. I'll keep my response to that very brief. Council staff allowed the developer to construct the roads illegally without a consent to very narrow widths that have been found to be seriously and significantly dangerous, that would have caused frequent death and injury. The profit to the developer in building roads that were 7 odd metres too narrow resulted in about an extra 5 hectares of land for him to subdivide and make millions of dollars of profit out of, and obviously the savings in building a much cheaper road.
Could I just interrupt and just caution again, as I have in the past?
Yes.
I recognise that there is some qualified privilege available, but just,
Certainly.
Be wary.
Right. I have decided to be very positive today. I have in the past tried to identify how these unsafe roads came to be built. Today I propose to put a solution up, which is a very simple solution that would fix these roads and make them safe for the future of Christchurch. And I've just got a few documents up here which I'll open, and I'll just briefly talk through them. This is a Wairaki Road. Obviously what they've done there is they have indented car parking into the existing berm to cater for cycles and to recess the parking off the road carriageway, something that would be very easy to achieve at Noble. This here come up. Something wrong with this pad here. Can I'll just flip through this one here. This here is an example of Sawyers Arms Road, the same sort of thing there, where obviously parking has been indented into the berm. A very simple solution once again. This here is the Noble Subdivision Spine Road. 80% of the berm of this road is actually not formed at all yet. So we're not even talking about digging up berms and footpaths. It's all unformed anyway, 80% of it. Very easy just to indent parking into that. This one here is a vehicle parked on that spine road, on the road obviously, which is where the council staff are proposing parking would be on one side of the road only. That one there is obviously with the car parked off the road, which would be in a situation where it would be indented, which would allow for parking each side the cycle lanes, and it would also allow for a median to be put in. Medians are obviously very important for right turning traffic. This is an example of 20% of the berm that has been formed. As you can see, it's all in concrete, which is the footpath. That has to be constructed along the full length of the road anyway. So to actually construct part of that concrete as car parking and part of it as footpath, there's no actual cost at all because the developer had to form that berm anyway, as you'll see from the next slides. That shows the vehicle parked in where it could potentially be part of the indented recessed parking and still have room for footpath. I've included a slide in your documents you'll have of drawing, which also shows a slight widening of the road, about 0.6 metres each side, to allow this to happen and be pretty much compliant with the IDS, which the current roads are not. This document here, that's an outdated road standard in the city plan, which has been referred to by council staff. At the bottom of that, you'll see collector road at 1,000 to 6,000. There's a minimum road width of 12 metres, maximum 14. That's outdated anyway by the IDS. It's been superseded. But the traffic volumes on this road have been accepted as being 7,000 to 11,000 vehicles a day. So the staff should have been referring to that 3,000 to 15,000 above it as a minor arterial, which shows that the minimum width would have been 14 metres as opposed to 11.5 that staff allowed. And as I've said, this appendix is outdated anyway, so staff shouldn't be referring to this at all, other than to establish what hierarchy the road is, which comes down to the traffic volume. That there is the road, that's the city plan current standards. You'll see the spine road at the top, which required a 4 metre median, the cycle lanes, all the rest of it there. That was a 25 metre spine road. The one below it's the secondary loop road, which also required cycle lanes, which the developer and the staff deleted from that loop road as well. Non-notified. This next document here, that is the infrastructure design standard. That's the current document which superseded those previous tables. You'll see as a collector road, the 1,000 to 6,000, that marked in cycleways were required on the road. As a collector road, obviously, it's got more traffic than 6,000 now because of previous increases in traffic through the commercial. It's gone up to the 3,000 to 15,000 vehicles per day as per the minor arterial, which also requires marked-in cycleways, parking lanes, and of course the right-hand column, the median. Both of those roads required the median. Now, this here, which you've got in front of you on an A3 bit of paper, the road on the left-hand side is what staff is proposing that you vote to allow them to accept, which is a road that doesn't comply with the IDS. It has parking up one side, which is only 2 metres wide, then straddled by the cycle lane, which obviously would be right in where the car doors would open in those narrow parks. And then it's got no median, it's got no centre lane or centre line marked as their proposal. So there's nowhere for right-turning vehicles, whether they're cars or cycles, whatever. The diagram on the right-hand side there, all that has done is it's indented the car parking, as we saw on the slide at Wairaki Road and Sawyers Arms Road. That has allowed cycle lanes each side. It's allowed a 2.4 metre median, which helps for pedestrian crossing. It helps for right turning. It makes the road slower because it narrows the traffic lanes each side, and it makes it a safe road. And to provide sufficient width on the footpath, I've suggested if it was an extra just 0.6 metres wider into the paddocks each side, that would possibly do the job. It's 20 metres wide, the road then, which is the absolute minimum that was required under the outdated City Plan 2005 standards. Not quite up to what IDS should have, but it's getting up somewhere near it, and it's certainly a minimum of the old standards in City Plan. As I've said, the berms aren't formed yet anyway, and so to form that there is not much at all. The roads are slightly wider. The developer will still make a lot of extra millions of dollars in providing a 20-metre road instead of a 25-metre road. So there's still plenty of profit left in the developer from building the non-complying roads. If I can just finish on reading something that popped out from July 2013. It's a letter to the editor, which was about the consenting debacle, the building consenting, which is pretty much similar to this. At the Christchurch City Council, the absolute division between governance and management. Under this system, elected members are dependent on reports from the CEO and officers to identify potential problems, and elected members have no power to many direct operational issues. The Christchurch situation shows that this is a recipe for disaster, and we are now seeing that councillors have the ability to act in these situations only retrospectively once the damage has been done, to monitor operational performance more closely and become familiar with operational practicalities. Relying on officers to report on their shortcomings is asking turkeys to vote for Christmas. It's really not in their interests. And I'd just like to close on that. You as our elected members, I'm looking at to make sure roads in Christchurch are safe, and just look at the facts that are in front of us. Thanks very much.
Thank you. That's exactly 10 minutes, which is the complete time for the deputation. So I've never seen a deputation complete at a start and exact finish time. So thank you very much.
It was a complete fluke, I can assure you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we move on to clause 14, item 6.3, Shirley Community Trust